Hello, welcome back to another episode of MeatballCraft. How you guys doing? It's been about 2 weeks since the last episode, and I've been pretty busy lately, which is why they're not coming out as often. I did mention last time that I'm going to be focusing more on the GT&H stream playthrough, just so I can finish it finally after so long. We're approaching 2 years in that pack in December. I need to beat the pack, so I've been just playing that more. And MeatballCraft has kind of taken like a sideline, but I did decide recently that I'm going to be focusing on MeatballCraft on Sundays. Sundays are going to be my rest days. And when I say rest, I mean record MeatballCraft, so I'm still playing Minecraft, right? But anyways, we're back, and I'm glad to be back because I've been itching to play it. I saw Saynock's stream, sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly, but the modpack dev, in other words, he was streaming a couple days ago, showcasing the end game, a lot of the changes that are coming up in the upcoming update. And I only watched for a couple minutes because there's so much stuff and I didn't want to spoil myself, but it looks really interesting and it's giving me the itch to play some MeatballCraft, so here we are. But anyways, enough rambling, let's get into the episode. So on the last episode, we set up this little mob farm. I even spent the time off camera making it look a little pretty. It's just a bunch of lavender quartz, but it does look like a kind of like a bathhouse now that I think about it. So what's cool about this mob farm is that it's fully automatic. It's dependent on this inventory checker, which checks the very last slot of this chest. And if that's full, it actually turns on the lamp, which disables spawns. There's still some things that spawn in the day, and I'm honestly not really worried about that because they don't spawn that often. So take off the enchanted book, and then it'll turn off the lights, and then things will start spawning. And then it fills up again, which turns the lights back on. So this is just an emergency switch so that my base doesn't get completely destroyed when there's so much stuff, which has happened in other playthroughs before, so I'm trying to prevent that. But really the items is kind of like a side thing that we're going to get. The main focus for this was for essence, which is being sent into this tank. And then back in our base, that tank gets sent into a fluid dictionary converter, converting the essence into XP, and we store it here. And then we convert it again, send it to a mob duplicator, and we spawn wildfires with that. And of course, this is how we get our netherite ingots. So I'm still aiming for the furnace dimension, because remember, we have to fill this demonically gargantuan drum full of netherite, and we're going to need about 500,000 netherite ingots. That's a lot. Probably what I'm going to be doing today, setting up more mob duplicators, because I don't think one is going to be enough. There's going to be a little bit of off-camera studying, trying to figure out a good way to set up these mob duplicators. But before I get into this, I do want to deal with our ender chest situation, because we do want to store these items. It's going to be really good for us. And the way I was thinking of doing that is using the drawer controllers from storage drawers. And these are made with EMC. So I would just put one down here, and then just start piling up a bunch of drawers for these. And it's also a good thing that the drawer upgrades, for example, the tier 5 one, they are all EMCable. So I need to figure out a place to put this, and then I will show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. It's going to be pretty much a wall of frame drawers 2x2s. And in case you didn't know, this is a feature from storage drawers itself. You just got to make this framing table. You put the frame drawers, and then you can just customize what your drawers are going to look like. It's pretty cool. And of course, I just went with a simple purple background and a black border to basically match the area here. But the ender chest is going to be in the back right here, and it's going to feed into the drawer controller to distribute all the items. But one thing I do want to set up before I do that is a way to trash some of the things we don't necessarily want. And really the main things is any of the unstackables. So like bows, we don't really care for. Enchanted books we do want, so I can even actually bring the library over here. Trash can, and then enchantment library. And then there's probably some other things that we want to trash. So it's one of the challenges that I think about whenever I set up voiding. The easiest way to void things is to just try to put everything into here, and then on a lower priority, trash everything else. That is one way to void things, but I don't like doing that because very often I put my own tools in here and then they get trashed. I don't want to do that. So we're going to have a filtered trash can. That's usually the safest bet. And it's also why I use the trash chest, because if I accidentally put stuff in there, it does retain the last couple of items. So there's still like a chance you can save your stuff if I happen to drop something in there. but I'm going to try my hardest to not do that because that's not very good. But this does mean I'm going to need the filtering, right? And I'm going to stick with item conduits. There might be something else at some point, but item conduits are very modular. I like them. And the filter I was thinking about is the big item filters. So these do have EMC, but we do have to get a little bit into Ender.io. Not too bad. I think we have pretty much everything. We do have Solarium and the Solitude Diamond Blend. We crafted that, I think, last episode. Everything else, it's just alloy smelter shenanigans. So we can craft that. And then you might be wondering, oh, how are you going to get shulker shells? Don't you have to go to the end? No, we have Botania for this diamond horse armor with Dimension Catalyst, and this is something we can craft. So let me get everything going. Uh-oh, we hit our first wall. It's this conductive powder. I honestly thought it was like brown dye, but no, it's a whole thing. So we need the sludge refiner, which itself is not too expensive, I don't think. No. We can make that. And then sludge, we get this from a plant gatherer. So we still have to get into some industrial foregoing, but that's not too bad. Oh, you have to farm in front of it, right? I think that's how it works. So it's going to be a very simple setup. I think by default, it only has like one area, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to have like a little thing there and it'll manually grow. And then I'll just get a little bit of sludge. I only need those 2 conductive powders. So just a real simple setup would do for now. And I'm kind of curious how this works. I'm going to give it some fertilized dirt, then seeds in front of it. No? Or do I have to till it first? I think I have to till it. Diamond hoe because we're rich. Yeah. And there it is. And I can use fertilizer to just do that, right? Okay, I have to manually plant it, but this is how we get some of the sludge. And then I would put the sludge refiner right over here. Actually, it needs power, so I'll put it up there. I feel like I'm going to need a lot of this down the road, so at some point I will automate this. But right now I just need the 2 of them to get the slice and splice. That's all I'm looking for, just 2. And there we go. 2 conductive powders. And then slice and splice. Thank you. So this one is going to need the Z logic controller. And the good thing is that once I craft one, I have unlimited of them because the result is EMCable. But just not the Z logic controller itself. So you can go right here for now. You need iron axe, shears, and a capacitor. Okay. I forget it's not like 1.7 where it works without a capacitor. I do have this one. This one seems okay. I don't know what those numbers mean. I'm not gonna question it. I'm just gonna plug it in. We'll see if it works, and then put everything in here. It makes some very squishy and nasty noises, but we do get our Z logic controller, and then craft item filter, EMC it. And then I can craft the big item filter with the shulker shells that I got earlier. And there we go. Which is also EMCable. And I believe how this works. For example, I can just put this on the insert. And then whitelist bows. Then I would tell this to ignore MBT. So that it puts any bows in there. Okay, cool. So if there's anything else that I don't want to keep, I can just throw in here. And then I can do similar over here by adding another one for the enchanted books. Yeah, okay. It ate the books and put them in the enchantment library. Okay, and then everything else I probably want to keep unless something else pops up that I want to store, like confetti cannons. I mean, do I really want this? What even is this anyways? Can I use it? No? Okay, bye. But anyways, everything else I do want to store. So at this point, I think we're good to just send everything to the drawers. So all I would do is extract and insert into the drawer controller, just like that. And then slowly but surely start removing the locks on all the drawers so that they fill up with junk. And then I do that. I guess we're going to keep confetti cannons, sure. But each one is going to have a void upgrade and as many storage upgrades that can fit in there because we might as well just fit everything in there. So each one is going to store plenty of items and then void if they get too much. And then I'm just going to do this for a couple times for all the other items that are going to show up in there. So I will be right back. Okay, check it out. We have a what? 3 by 5 drawers, so 15 drawers full of this stuff. It was able to fit basically in all of them. And there's really only 2 things that we're trashing. Leather boots and bows. And then I also made a couple of these extract upgrades. These are a little expensive time-wise because electrical steel ingots do take a while to craft with a simple alloy smelters. And at some point I am going to really improve this, but it's not really the focus for this episode, so I'm not really going to do that right now. But anyways, now that we have a good way of storing all the items from the mob farm, this does mean that we're going to be slowly building up experience. That was the whole point of it in the first place. And I think what's next is to start setting up the mob duplicators. Make some kind of chamber and start spawning a bunch of hellfires and to store all of their netherite so that we can fill up the gargantuan drum and finally get to the furnace dimension. Okay, so this is what I was thinking about. I'm going to go ahead and make 25 total mob duplicators. And the whole idea is that I'm going to have like a platform of them. Let's say something like this, right? And I'm going to use the fact that they only spawn right on top of them. And I'm going to use those as a floor to a killing chamber. And then use another mob crusher to take care of the mobs. And then just like before, we're going to store the items and the fluids into ender tanks and chests. That does mean I would have to add space for the drawers, but that's totally okay. Okay, I think I'm finally starting to get sick again. It's that time of year. The weather keeps dropping, and it makes me very congested. And so if I sound a little more tired and nasally than usual, just keep in mind, yeah, I'm getting a little sick. Oh well. But anyways, this is kind of the idea I wanted to go for. This little Amogus structure is going to hold the 25 mob duplicators. I can always expand this, keep in mind, but I'm going to keep to 25 because I don't really know better otherwise. I'm just trying things out. So the mob duplicators are going to be spawning the wildfires, right? I keep calling them hellfires. They're wildfires. And then the mob crusher here with the range add-on to make sure that I'm able to reach all of the mobs. So this is where it gets a little interesting. I need a way to power everything. So of course there is the flux point. And every single one of these is going to be connected to Ender IO's energy conduits. And then you also need to give fluids and also a redstone signal just so I can turn things off. So every single mob duplicator is going to have a redstone conduit, an energy conduit, and a fluid conduit for the essence. So Ender IO does give a way to copy paste the connection so I don't have to configure each one. That is this conduit probe here. So for example, if I have the same amount of conduits and then I can just make sure I'm on copy mode by shift scrolling, shift right click to copy, and then right click so that they all get the same settings. So this just makes the setup a lot easier. And then for the redstone control, I'm just going to put a lever right there. And then I have to tell the redstone one to connect to it. And with the Yeta wrench, I really like this thing. You can shift scroll to select only the certain kind of conduit you want to work with. So I put redstone, right click it, so it connects down like that. And this is where I get a little like confused. Because I'm like, did I put input or output? Oh, you know what it is. Where is the signal coming from? Input. So this is where I put the input. So that's why it looks like that. And then output would be, where do I want the signal to come out? I think maybe it's like that. In order for me to actually get the essence into here, we're going to use more ender tanks. So right here is where I'm converting it to, or back to essence. So I connect you here. Well, let me change the color first and put that here. So now this has all the essence. We just put the same one over here so that this one also has essence as well. And I believe that's all the setup. So right now it's not going to really do anything. Let me also turn off the mob crusher so it doesn't kill the mobs, because we do need to get imprisonment tools for all 25 of these. So I'm going to have to spend some time in there just capturing some things. So really the next step is for me to collect 25 total of these mobs. It's going to be a little loud, so I'll get back to you whenever this is done. And okay, I think this is 25 of them, but it's important before I actually put them into the mob duplicators, I need to make sure that every single one of them has active on redstone signal. This way I can actually control them with the conduit. Okay, I'm almost done here, and I just realized something that might be a problem down the road. So if I click on show area here, it's also on the bottom. I didn't know that. I think we lucked out though, because with the conduits and then the fact that those mobs are a little tall, It doesn't seem like they're going to want to spawn on the bottom. I guess we'll see. But if this does end up being a problem, we'll come back to that, right? But anyways, every single one of them is now on active on redstone signal. And then I just need to give every single one of them the 3 conduits. So this is going to be a little bit tedious, but it is definitely necessary. So every time I'm putting a lot of conduits like this, I'm always nervous I'm going to miss one. It's just funny to think about. There's probably like broken setups I've done. It's okay though. And then of course, the last step is to use the conduit probe to copy the first one. So copy, and then we paste it everywhere. Okay, I think that's everything. And one way to double check, if I choose just the redstone conduits, because by default they don't connect to the mob duplicators. If I see arrows, that means it did work correctly. It's just a good thing to double check. It's what the smart player would do. Yeah, okay, everything's connected. I think we're good. The only issue here maybe is we might not be supplying essence fast enough. Oh, we're definitely draining this too. So I may have to upgrade the mob farm in the overworld. Oh, we also have to upgrade our storage here. There's some weird mobs that spawn not often, and they're going to drop stuff like this. So we're still not 100% clear yet, but I'll just do that off camera. This is going to be a very big experience sink, but I'm just curious what is going to happen. So let me make sure that this is okay. Always active. What happens if I enable it? It's only spawning 1. Why? Oh, because I didn't put the... Yeah. Hang on, give me a moment. Okay, I think that's all of them. I have no idea if I made a mistake, but it's okay. Turn that on. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're getting a lot of netherite ingots, but before I actually run this thing for a while, I need to figure out a way to move everything to the ender chest, and check it out. We already have a stack and a quarter of netherite. So this is already showing promise. I think that's the right word for it, right? And it's not a total drain on our essence. We are getting some of it back, so it's okay. But I do need to set it up. But one thing I wanted to make for the mob crusher is a fortune upgrade. I think if you give it to it, you actually get a little more output out of it. It needs to be enchanted with fortune, and it will use the enchantment level for the machine action. So what if I give it like looting 1 million, right? Oh man, let's try it. I don't know about this. It needs pink slime. Pink slimes is one of those things that I just don't like doing. Mostly because it just takes a while to set up. Well, it's actually not that bad now that I think about it. Let me check. Obtained by killing a pink slime that will spawn when placing pink slime fluid in the world. So that's what we're looking for. And this comes from the slaughter factory, I believe. So what I can also do here to get pink slime, I can actually just put it right over here and it'll give us pink slime. So I'm going to do that. I don't know if it actually accepts power from the front. It looks like it does. It looks scuffed, but that's okay. And then range upgrade so you can actually reach inside there. Turn it back on. And so we get a little bit of pink slime, just a little bit. Oh, it's making a lot of noise. Yo, quiet down. Hang on, I think I might need to add this to the sound muffler. No, that's everything. Okay, peace and quiet. Thank you, thank you. Okay, but we have our pink slime. I just need just a little bit. I think I can pick it up with a bucket. Right there, yeah. And then I would place this down. The smart thing would be, which I probably will end up doing it honestly, is actually putting this in a mob duplicator to get even more. But right now, I just need a couple. So with this pink slime, I can craft the fluid sieving machine. I'll put it right here, sure. And then turn off the farm because I just noticed that we're draining power. I may have to see about improving our power situation. It shouldn't be too bad. I just haven't looked into it. But we put the 2 buckets of slime in the sieving machine with an iron ingot to get a pink slime ingot. That wasn't too bad. And then I can make the fortune add-on. So I should be able to get a fortune 3 from the enchantment library. And cry about it when I don't have any levels left because our farms ate everything. I think there's a solidified XP in the mob crusher. Yeah. Oh no, that's enough. Okay. So give that here so we get even more stuff like netherite and also solidified XP, which is going to help us out. Next up is to transfer the items out of here. So I need an ender chest and a ender tank. Ender tank is just going to have a fluid conduit, and this one's already painted to green, 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 right? Yeah. Now for the ender chest, I'm going to expect a ton of items, so I can't just simply use a item conduit. So I think that leaves us with those Tesla-cators that we had last episode. I'll make a couple of these. They're not too expensive. Okay, and I think with that, we're good to go. We have a running farm. It's not 100%. But we do have our netherite ingots being produced. This is going to take a while, though, because, again, we need like 500,000 or something ridiculous like that, right? But you'll see here, we now have an issue. How the heck am I going to store everything? That is a good question. I'm going to have to think about it a little bit. Because there's so many items we're still producing. Oh, man. So at least for the netherite ingots, this is what I was thinking. We can actually take advantage of these compacting drawers. So if I look at a fully upgraded one, this one says it stores 3,072 stacks. That's blocks. So if I do the math, 3,072 times 64 stacks, and that's 196 stacks of netherite blocks. So in ingots, that's well over 1 million. So I just need to basically have this on the drawer wall so that we build up netherite like that. So now the netherite should be going in there because now there's space for it. Which reminds me that I do need to get more of these extract speed upgrades so that it doesn't clog up. And I do have a couple of electrical steel being crafted. Let me make some more. I'm also going to spend some time off camera to sort this out. Iron pickaxes, that's something we can trash. I don't really care about that, but everything else does need a drawer here. So I just need to do what I was doing earlier and add more drawers for everything. Okay, check it out. Very empty ender chest. There's still some things that pop up every now and then, but I'll come back and check on it. So one of the questions I had, I don't know if someone can help me answer this, but these spell books, are they like unique ones, every single one, or do I just keep storing them? I don't know. No, they do stack. And also I forgot that you can do the whole framing things with a compacting drawer as well. So I did that for the netherite blocks. But with that said, I think we can turn on this farm for a little bit and see its productions. Yeah, it might be a little too strong, and also my magnet kind of picks up everything, so I might just end up taking off my magnet. But yeah, it's actually doing too good, honestly. And I don't think that Ender IO conduit can keep up at all. Even if it has 15 extract upgrades, so I may have to figure out another solution for this. But you gotta admit, look at the amount of resources we're getting. Oh, man. Okay, I'll think of something for the storage solution here so we don't struggle. I think it's all of the individual items. So things like books is what's causing us problems. But like the stacks themselves, I don't think they're too much of an issue. What I ended up doing was having 3 separate conduits. So the one in the middle is the normal one. And that one's just going to push with a lot of speed into the drawer controller. And then this one is filtered to just the books. Tries to push into here. And then this one is filtered with the trash. This way there's 3 different extract sources for the items in here, so they should not get caught. But if that still has trouble, I'm going to have to come back to this, and I'm thinking just making more of those Tesla-cator things. These might just be the answer in the end. Okay, so there's another pretty big issue with this farm. It's not really an issue, it's more of a good problem. Is the fact that this thing is like really eats through our essence, and we cannot produce this fast enough. So I guess I'll show you what I'm talking about. So it, produces plenty of items, right? Which is great. But the amount of experience it consumes, our overworld farm cannot keep up with it at all. How much experience does this produce versus how much it consumes? I think it's like a net positive. But my big issue with this is that I don't really have a good way to convert solidified XP back into the liquid. There might be like good ways to do that, but I was looking through the quest book and I can't really find anything. HEI doesn't really tell me much either. Like, yes, there's this magma crucible, which needs a lot of power. And then I also have this option here for fluid tanks. But this is really slow. I did play with both of these. They're both pretty slow. Another option is to actually use something like a mechanical user. And if I give it to that, it does produce me XP, but it's kind of slow. So maybe there's a speed upgrade I can make. Maybe it's time to get into extra utilities. No, I don't think this is the answer. So I'm not going to use the user for this. I got to figure out some other way. But if you guys have any ideas of what I can do, let me know. This is an interesting problem I've never really faced because most of the time I usually just like coast for a while. But this is really the first time that I build a pretty strong, comparably mob farm at the very like relatively early part of the pack. But I'm thinking about it now. I think what I want to do next to really speed up the essence production is actually upgrade our overworld farm. Okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. I ended up maxing out the mob farm using this crusher's working area. It's now completely full, and now it really looks like a bathtub, right? I only had so many lamps, so it kind of looks like that, but it is enough to light up the entire area. I think it works better. I honestly don't know. And I don't even know if the mega torch actually affects rates. I'm curious, does it actually affect rates? I can't tell. But another thing I can do is actually give this the fortune add-on to get even more stuff. And I think that even includes essence. I feel like that's a good amount already. But you'll see here that it's definitely a little too strong now. So I gotta watch out for the items because they're gonna be pouring in, and I keep picking up stuff up because of the magnet. Let's go back home and figure out the storage situation again. So I really think the solution to all our problems are more Teslacators. And we can use the fact that this will only accept books. This will only accept things that are filtered. And then I can probably leave this as a conduit. But there's other ways to filter non-stackable items for the trash can. But the only problem is that for these Teslacators, I need purple blaze, and I kind of ran out. But the good thing about this little setup, I've planned for the future. Once I have enough netherite and I don't need these wildfires, I can always just replace them with other mobs. For example, purple blaze. A nice dark spot here. Spawn a purple blaze. Thank you. I'll take the spawner back. There we go. It's going to make a lot of mess. I hope nothing burns. I don't think the machines burns though, and I also have this chunk loaded, so I don't think anything spreads fire whenever that happens. But I only need a couple anyways. And with that, we have 4 more Teslacators. So the tooltip here says do not use filters. They will crash the game. Which means I'm going to have to work around that by using the restrictions that these guys come with already. For example, this one can only accept books, and then this one can only accept things that are already filtered here. I should be able to just, boom, there we go. So all of the enchanted books will go into here. So for the stackable things, I think I just have to add filters for them. Spell books, there's going to be so many spell books. I don't know if I should keep them, honestly. So I'm just going to trash them. There's just too many of them for me to want to deal with. Yo, check it out. Empty ender chests. Okay, this is working pretty well. We probably will see some other things pop up here, but I think it's mostly the unstackable things and anything else that doesn't need a filter. But look at our wall. It's getting quite large. The good thing is that it hasn't even been 10 minutes, and look how much XP we have in here. This is just solidified experience. If there's a lot of this, there should be a lot of this stuff. And never mind, we kind of consume everything. I think we still need to figure out a way to convert solidified XP into the liquid. That way we can use it for all of our other shenanigans, right? And you know what? Just in case, because I know it's going to happen, we should check this with the inventory checker as well. We need an off switch for this. So if I put something at the very output that doesn't fit anywhere, like a frame drawer, that should turn off the farm. Oh, it has to be the conduit, right, to disable this. Okay, I think this works. It's a lot more simple, a lot more clean. So pretty simple. It's just a inventory checker checking for the last slot, right? And it powers a NOT gate. This NOT gate powers this block, which the redstone conduit detects. So right now the farm is running, right? But if for some reason there's something in the very last spot, also known as the farm gets clogged, it unpowers the redstone, which unpowers all of the machines, and the farm stops. So that's kind of our emergency off switch. So which means if I ever want to like work on it and I want to keep it off, just put something there. Okay, but throughout this whole episode, we were able to get 5,000 or so netherite ingots. That's about 1% of the way there. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 5,000 more ingots than we didn't have before. And I think we can really speed up the rates by supplying more essence to this, right? So 2 ways to do this now that I think about it. One way is how do we convert solidified XP into the liquid form, right? Another one, actually, I've realized is this is really slow. It seems like Ender IO machines don't really push that fast. So I think we have to support this with a conduit. So this is what I'm doing. It's just a simple fluid conduit right here. We push from the obelisk into dictionary converter and then back into the ender tank like before. Now here's the issue. This is really slow, which means I'm going to have to build a couple more of them. But that's something I would do off camera because we are out of time for today. Pretty good progress, actually. I got a good storage system, and I got to thank the comments I got last episode that suggested this because I was already thinking, okay, I'm going to send everything that can be EMC'd into EMC. But I was convinced to not do that because a lot of the stuff, for example, like diamonds, right? 4 stacks of diamonds from this, we're going to use everything. So we might as well just keep it as items. So the next couple of episodes is going to be us upgrading our netherite production setups because the furnace dimension is still in my sights. Look at that, 1,000 ingots. It hasn't even been 20 minutes. But for now, I will wrap up the episode for today. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.